Okay, welcome back. We'll get started. I have two housekeeping items just to announce. First of all, the AC has been turned off in here. Allegedly. So if it starts to get too warm, please shout. The second thing is there's a red Honda CRV that is blocking a service exit. So if it is yours, registration 103124, exit when we're looking at the panel and we won't look at you. So welcome back. I'm going to take you up to the lunch time period at 1:45. So the next panel is talking about skilled workforce, and that's our objective B. It's going to be a rapid fire discussion because we have 6 panelists to manage and control, but who have amazing stories to tell. So in the same way that the first panel had a presentation followed by Q&A and then roundtable discussions, we're going to do exactly the same flow, but I plead with my panelists to keep with your 5 to 10 minute time frames, 10 minute for Brendan, he gets the most. And I'll give you the nod if we're running over, and write down your questions. Again, please ask questions rather than making statements. And we're going to kick off. So on the skilled workforce panel today, I'm going to ask each individual just to introduce themselves to start with, and tell us who you represent. So if we can start at the end with Robin, please.
My name is Robin Kine. I'm director at SciFec.
Hi, my name is Gloria McFeel-Nixon. I'm the Chief Officer of the Portfolio of the Civil Service.
Hi, I'm Brendan Melise. I'm an employment officer with the National Workforce Development Agency.
Philip Scott with the Ministry of Education, speaking on policy on human capital.
Ahisha Bodden, Human Resources Manager for Kirk Supermarket.
Terry Howard, I'm the manager of Mike's ESSO, which is 2 ESSO on their own gas stations.
Thank you. Welcome. So this is your panel for the next hour. I'm going to ask Philip to start us off with a quick overview on one of the key initiatives within this driver group, the Work Keys program.
Well, hopefully it comes up.
Cue slide.
Okay, human capital. Basically, when we look at human capital, we're talking about the stock of competencies, knowledge, and personality attributes embodied in the ability to perform labor so as to produce economic value. We're looking at those skill sets that tie into the workforce. We have a global human capital challenge. Many of the major economies complain that most of the workers do not possess the skills required to compete in the global economy at the moment. Here in the Cayman Islands, we have our own challenges as well. There's a shortage of skilled local workers to meet the demands of the main pillars of the economy. Demand far exceeds the supply of Caymanians with the requisite skills and attitudes. These are things that go back to some of the research that has been carried out in the past. We have challenges with regards to high school graduates who in the past have not really been meeting the basic standards, though we've seen today that things may be on the up. We also have the challenge that employers' perceptions and beliefs that job seekers do not have the relevant skills and abilities to meet their commitments. This can be a challenge when you're trying to place people. So it's not always about them not having the required skills. It's that employers don't believe they have the right skills. Basic problem, people do not always possess the work readiness skills that we feel are important for you to get a job or to be able to hold down a job. The ministry's challenge basically has been that looking at how we prepare Caymanians so that they not only can deal with jobs today, but also be ready to deal with any jobs that might come in the future. And bearing in mind that it's difficult to anticipate the kind of jobs that might come up in the economy in the future. Lots of jobs that we have today didn't exist 10 years ago. So what's the solution? Basically, all Caymanians need to become work ready. When we look at work readiness, we're talking about the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors that individuals really need in order to be able to seek and gain employment. to be able to keep that employment and also to be able to progress within their careers and to transition between jobs and roles, either within the same organization or outside. So you're looking at a broad range of skills that will allow you to enter the workforce and move upwards and through it. The ministry's strategic response to all this was the creation of the National Workforce Development Agency, which is something that has come out of the former Department of Employment Relations. Consists now of what was previously the Job Placement Unit and the research areas, so that we can have a more focused view on what's going on. And its mission really is to provide effective human capital development and employment services that will support work readiness of Caymanians through a range of different services, skills assessments, education, training, and development opportunities that we hope we'll be able to put together. Align Caymanians actively seeking employment or career progression. So it's not just those who are looking for jobs, but help those who are also looking to progress within the workforce. And then advance a national workforce development and training agenda informed by relevant and meaningful research and data. That's an important one, to be able to get a good handle on who is out there, who are the people who are unemployed. Can we segment them? Can we identify what particular barriers that they have? And then be able to tailor particular solutions to those particular groups. A solution that we have come across and that we have been piloting is something called Career Ready 101. This is a package that has been put together by ACT. That's the college. You may have heard of them. They're sort of like similar to SAT. They provide a college entrance exam that checks whether people are college ready. What they have done is put together something that works out whether you are work ready. And basically, it covers career guidance, work-ready skills, and career skills. The three main components of the system. One is job analysis that looks at the skills and skills levels that are needed in today's jobs and occupations. Then we have assessment that looks at the skills of the individual and whether that individual skills levels match what the job that they're looking for requires. And then we have training that looks at how the skills gaps can be addressed through certain sort of programs. They also have certification, so you can get a certificate after going through some of the assessments and some of the courses, and then they use the data for research and analytics. The work-ready skills can be broken down into two key areas. One is WorkEase and the other one is Key Trade. As I said, WorkEase is an assessment, and that was created in response to the US Department's labor request. Basically what they said was that we know you've got a test that can get people into college, but we have issues with our workforce. Can you do something to assess whether people are ready to enter the workforce? One of the things that they have recently found with regards to research is that the basic skills levels that people need in terms of maths and English, in terms of getting into college, are the same as what is required to get into the workforce and be trainable, to be trainable. And that's really what we're talking about when we look at this whole program. We're looking at people being able to get into the workforce and be trainable. It offers a comprehensive assessment of workplace skills, and these look at communication, problem solving, interpersonal skills, and personal skills. It's a broad range of items there. There's something like 9 or 12. 9 of them, I think. 12 when we include the personal skills. You have training that closes the gap. That's something that is carried out by Key Train. Key Train, so you have two areas. One that is an assessment program, and then the other one that gives you the syllabus that helps to build up the gaps. As I said, you also have a certificate that is credential that gives you evidence-based, an industry-recognized certificate. And it has 4 levels: bronze, silver, gold, platinum. We haven't started using these over here in the Cayman Islands yet, but it is something that we intend to do shortly. The other areas that we have with this are the career development skills. And these cover 200 lessons on job search, work habits, communication skills, workplace effectiveness, and business etiquette. So what you have with this particular program is a complete interactive internet-based training system. It can be delivered either by a trainer or it can be delivered by a teacher on site or a combination of both. So you have either self-learning, self-directed learning, or something that can be dealt with through a classroom type environment. And it's covering that guidance that starts off with career guidance, career counseling aspect in order to be able to determine where you want to be going. It's got the assessment that says, well, these are the skills that you need for particular types of jobs, and where do you match up? And then it has a remediation lessons that you can then use to bring you up to speed. The benefits basically support to school leavers, help school leavers to improve on their career and employment prospects by helping them identify their career goals, establishing their foundational skill levels and helping them to develop these, and then helping them improve on their career development skills. Other benefits for the employers, it gives you a complete solution for employee selection and development. Educators helps ensure that people are prepared for work and that they're also prepared for life. And then for the career seekers and the students, the tests give you a good basis, a good idea of where you stand, where you want to be going, and what you need to do in order to be able to get there. And then finally, the other area was the community and economic development. Obviously, if you've got a skilled workforce in place, employers won't be thinking of relocating to a different jurisdiction.
Thank you, Philip. I just wanted to talk about how we're going to transition on now. So we wanted to give you a high-level overview of what the product is. This has been a key success of one of our initiatives within the objective. So what we did was we put together a pilot group. Brendan's going to talk a bit about the work at the NWDA in a second, but we've also got private sector results in terms of how they've been using this product. So I think you're going to find this pretty interesting. And over lunch, please talk to these guys as well about what they've seen. I've done the assessment in all of the areas, so come talk to me at lunch about whether I'm a gold, silver. The idea as well, there's a heavy focus on the transition between school leavers coming from school into the work environment. But this is connected to the next objective in terms of lifelong learning, because if I come in as a trainee and I'm a level 4, for example, but I want to be an accountant or a senior accountant, it matches you with, okay, you're a level 4, but these accountants are a level 7. And so it's assessed your gap and also provides e-learning that you can do in the evenings and that you can do at work to get you from the skill level you're at to the skill level you need to be. So in terms of career progression, it's a great tool for organisations. But we're going to start with the work that NWDA have been doing, and Brendan's going to showcase that.
Thanks, Sam. I'm just going to give a basic orientation of how NWDA offers this to our clients when they come and register with us for job placement. We just began doing this pilot back in August, and I'm just going to give you some of the results of how I feel it's been working with our clients, and I'm sure they'll say how it works with their employees. When a client first comes to us and we introduce them to this assessment, the first thing we assess is their career interest. A lot of times we get caught up in thinking what their skills and abilities are, but is this something that they're going to be interested in doing? And this is one of the most important steps when working with these clients at the NWDA. In doing that, we first start with the My Interest survey. The My Interest survey is a survey that was developed by John Holland, who created the RESET assessment. He basically was a career psychologist who broke down each career into 6 categories, which was realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. What we then do is have the client participate in the 3 core skill assessments, which would be the lesson work or the pre-test assessment that Phil was talking about earlier. Let me just get there. Being reading for information, applied mathematics, and locating information. I'm using an example of one of the SciFec students who's currently volunteering with us, so I got permission from him. His scores are indicated here. In regards to reading for information, he scored a 4. I don't have a lot of time to go into what each level is, but afterwards, if you want to speak to me, I'll kind of break that down for you and how they meet the benchmarks for work readiness or entering into college. In regards to applied mathematics, he scored, I'm pretty sure he scored a 5, I'm not seeing it here. And in locating information, he scored a 5 as well. As you see here, once you take the pre-test, it'll determine what level you're at. And in regards to, let's say, an occupation that you might need a level 6 or higher in, the client has the opportunity to take what we call lesson work. As Samantha talked about earlier, they can do this with us at our department, at home, at the library, or even in school. All the lesson work is interactive. As you see here, if I click here, it will pull up the lesson work, and it takes you step by step. Now, some of the issues with clients will be low literacy, and we don't want to screen anybody out of the lesson work or of any of the assessments. So there are tools within this program. For instance, if they are low literate, they can use audio with participating in the assessment. If the client is in technically advanced, we have officers who will proctor the assessments with them as well, help them monitor through and navigate through each slide. Here's an example of one of the interactive lessons. This is for applied mathematics. So this will take the client through the areas that he may have been struggling within that assessment, so he could further his skills and abilities within regards to the level of competency he needs for the certain type of career he wants to go into or employment that he's applying for. Each one of these, again, is interactive. Again, you have to complete each level before you move to the next one. So each level has sample questions. For instance, if he was struggling in percentages, he'd have to be able to pass percentages before he moves on to the next step of arithmetic or algebra he would be taking. So you can't. I guess what I'm trying to say is you can't skip ahead. A lot of people think, they can just skip and take the final quiz. You can't do that. If you're struggling in an area, we really want you to retain the skills and abilities that you're lacking before you can get that certificate or move up to that next level. Sorry. All right. Now, how this works with the clients in regards to setting them out for job placement in relation to their skill level based on the results that we got from them taking the pre-test, as well as their career interests. As an employment officer, what I normally do with them is I have them go into career exploration, where they can type in any type of career that they want to pursue or get into and see what levels they will need in order to be capable of getting into that career or being sent out, what we call referral to those employers. So, for instance, if this gentleman wanted to be sent out to be a receptionist, the minimum skill level he would need to score is 3 on applied mathematics, reading for information, and locating information. I can also assign him additional assessments such as writing, listening, teamwork, and observation to evaluate if he can meet those skill requirements as well. One of the other important tasks or tools that I really find this tool that helps us as officers as well, is the task. We conduct interviews with these clients, so I can interview him if he wants to be sent out as a receptionist based on these career tasks that are generated by Career Ready 101. I can ask him questions based off these tasks. For instance, if he wanted to be sent out to be a receptionist, I can ask, has he ever operated a switchboard, screening or forward calls? If he has, I can then follow up. If you have done that, where have you done that at? How long have you done it for? Things like that. So we can better gauge the client before sending him out for employment and to make sure he's comfortable and capable of doing these certain type tasks. The other neat thing about this as well is a lot of times the clients come in and they're unprepared with their resumes or cover letters, very important documents, in the initial stage of, job placement or being sent out, for work placement. They can take these tasks for the ones that they do have skills and abilities in or prior experience and copy and paste these into their resumes where they've done these type tasks. For instance, if this person has done, he has operated a switchboard and forward calls or even, performed services as a receptionist, he can copy these and put these into a resume, which he can create and, save on this site. I like this feature because as you know, when it's a competitive market for jobs, especially a lot of the jobs that we're competing for here in Cayman. So it's really important that when they are sending out resumes to these jobs, that they are tailoring it to these jobs and meet the skills and abilities for these jobs. That was one of the biggest issues that we had previously, was getting clients to tailor their resumes to these jobs, and one, screening if they can do these types of jobs. As you see here, there's a tool, My Resume, that can help them with this. And again, they can save this and change it and tailor it to each job that they're applying for in real time. As you see, it's step-by-step, interactive, so it even gives you examples how to do the resume. It starts with your contact information, career objective. You can write your objective, work experience. If you see at the bottom, it gives you an example how to put your work experience down as well. Education gives you an example at the bottom as well. And special skills. This would be the area, again, where I took from the, where I will copy and paste from the career exploration the tasks and duties that they do have abilities in. For instance, working with the SciFec students, or people, the young kids just coming out of high school, sorry about that. They don't have a lot of work experience, so we can work with them when they've done volunteer work and stuff like that to put down what abilities they do have or what other skills they do have in this area. And again, that skill assessment will also determine if they do possess the proper competency levels for this type of work before sending them out as well.
Brendan, I'm going to just ask you to wrap up within the next sort of 30 seconds. If you want to find out more and get more of a demo, these guys have a booth over to the side, and please connect with them as well out in the network sessions. Okay. So just a couple, I think you had a key learning and...
Some of the challenges that I've seen since introducing this tool to our clients, one, the cultural relativity. Some of the skill assessments will use U.S. money or U.S. calendar dates and things like that, so it can become a barrier or an issue with some of the clients. Again, I talked about technically advanced clients, or a lack thereof of them being technically advanced. They're kind of nervous when they see an assessment come out, and then brain drain, or lack of attention. The assessments take about 2.5 hours to run all 4 of them. The applied mathematics, reading for information, locating information, and then the career evaluation or career interest survey. So I do see scores towards the end of the latter two assessments usually are lower than the first 2 assessments. So I think one of the challenges I know me and Phil have been talking about is how to maybe break that up for the client when they come in. However, the other issue is, when the clients do come to us, they need immediate assistance. They want to have referrals being sent out immediately so they can pay their bills. And it's hard to keep them engaged to come back for that second assessment. So I really try my best to make the environment for them very comfortable, laid back. There is no time limit on the assessment, so they can take their time when participating in the assessments as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Brendan.
Samantha, if you're excited by what you've just seen here as something that we're offering in a government agency, can you give a round of applause if this is of interest or exciting? And you're probably asking, why is this such a well-kept secret? Well, the intention is that this is a tool that will be rolled out throughout the government service to clients of the agency, but also to the private sector. And we're piloting this now, and that's the next segment. You're going to hear from agencies who actually volunteered to be part of a pilot group, getting free access to this tool. And that's something that we're hoping to be able to offer to others. So just wanted to say that, Samantha.
Thank you. So we'll hand over to our private sector partners who took the challenge to take this on as a pilot. And I want to thank them in advance, because I know it's taken a big time commitment from them. They have businesses to run, they're busy people, but they have taken the time out to test this. Ahisha's going to talk a bit about her successes at Kirk's, some of the barriers and challenges. Tara's used the product slightly differently and has more challenges probably than Ahisha does. And then we'll go over to the other panelists. But as we get to the round table discussions, I want you to think about some of these things that these guys have faced. And if you're interested in using this tool for your organizations, now's the time to speak. So Ahisha, I'll hand over to you.
Sure. When we initially heard about Career Ready, I was very excited because within our own company, we were already starting to have our focus shift to internal development and professional development. We have a lower skill base within the supermarket and a lot of entry-level posts, so we were often challenged with retaining, attracting, and sustaining employment for Caymanians. So we were looking for an answer to that already, and then when I was approached with this program, it was a perfect fit for what we were looking for. What we've done so far with the program is we use it as part of our screening exercise when employees actually come in and apply, and that's both expatriate and Caymanian employees. They're all graded. And then what we've also done is use it a part of our employee base, where so far we've tested all of our administrative and managerial staff, and we're rolling it down. We have about 230 employees within Kirk's Supermarket. We're a lot bigger than what we appear to be in the front. So the rollout process has been quite extensive, considering, as they said, for the testing process, it takes about 2.5 hours. You take that times 230 employees. That's a lot of testing. What we found from using the program is that it has assisted us in a number of ways. One of the biggest ways that it's helped is for us to be able to really identify some of the challenges and some of the strengths of our existing staff. And also to sort of see with the candidates that we have coming in what their basic skills level is, and sort of make a benchmark for our different positions and what we have coming in and what areas we need to develop our talent. So refocusing our internal training programs to focus on the areas of weakness, and so we can build that. The way we've seen success with that internally is that it's definitely improved morale, and it's helped us to really focus in on some of the strengths of our internal staff. We've done a little bit of shifting in roles, like some individuals that may, for instance, have been in an AR role, and we were constantly having to do performance coaching because they were falling short. When they were tested, we realized they're not strong in mathematics. That's probably not a good role for them. But then we had other roles like that were highly, for instance, customer service focused. They were more frontline. We did a shift there, and now that employee, which may have been moved out of the company, is very, very successful. And then another person that had a hidden talent that we didn't know was able to move into that role and shine. Initially, our staff was apprehensive about the testing because they were concerned that we may be trying to weed them out because we're movers and shakers at Kirk. So they're always watching what we're doing. But once we sold it to them in the way that it's part of our professional development program, we have an internal program called Be Smart, which is training and development, and talked to them about how this was going to enhance their skill set and make them more valuable to the company. We got very fast a lot of buy-in from the employees. We also were able to encourage them to continue their professional development for advancement and linking in their skills and their improvement in skills with their performance evaluations. So it's been a great program. I really encourage all of you to use it. I'm happy to discuss with any of you the way we use it and the benefits it had. And I'm a big supporter as well of what the National Workforce Development Agency has been doing, because the candidates that they're sending us now are much more tailored to what we're looking for. And we've seen, we've had a great partnership with them in placing a lot more Caymanians or permanent residents than we did prior.
What are your stats, Ahisha? Because they've gone up dramatically in the last couple of years.
Yeah. That's okay. Before we launched our internal training program, we were at 17% Caymanian. As a result of the new programs we have, we're at 45% Caymanian in a little over a year. So it works. If you invest in your people, it works.
Perfect. Now, Terry, I'm going to hand over to you because you faced more challenges, and I think for some of the reasons on the reverse of what Ahisha's been talking about, in terms of we thought you saw this product as fabulous and wanted to run and get it put in there, but because you hadn't had the groundwork necessarily that Ahisha had started, you'd faced a few more barriers. Do you want to talk about that?
We basically also have entry-level staff. We have about 30 staff in 2 gas stations. just getting people to get involved and buy in, to actually go into the system and use it. We did a couple of user groups in my personal time. We don't have HR, I'm HR and IT and everything else that goes with it. So we did a couple of user group sessions at my place, and it's very difficult to get people motivated and engaged in these kind of processes. So we need ways that they can see that, to be incentivized to actually use the systems. That was our main challenge.
Yeah, and I think it was also reflected in what Brendan was saying, in that if people were looking at a job and saying, all right, I've got to be a level 4 for a receptionist, and I am a level 4, perfect, I'm done. And why would I want to be a level 7? So it's human nature and the learning nature of, I want the information to be able to perform that now. So how do we incentivize people to progress through up to supervisory level, management level?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Gloria and to Robin now, just to talk a bit about work-ready skills in your respective areas.
Which one first?
Gloria.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And I have a pleasure today of talking about what's happening in terms of developing talent within the civil service. As you might imagine, as a large employer, we have approximately 3,600 staff within the civil service. The issue of developing talent is a major one for us. In addition to the size of our organization, we have a very diverse civil service. So we have individuals in specialist jobs such as in the legal field, persons who are in IT, persons who are responsible, for example, for environmental sciences. And we have individuals who are in fields that are unique to government, so you don't really find the private sector equivalent. So someone that's in firefighting or someone that's in policing or in immigration. And we have to be able to make sure that whatever the field they're in, we have training that's available to them that's going to be relevant and is going to ensure that they have the competencies necessary to meet the needs of the government and by extension the society. Now, this is a daunting challenge at any given time, but when you put it within the context of what the civil service has been experiencing over the past 5 years, it's particularly so. Over the past 5 years, we've had a shrinking workforce, so approximately 200 staff less than we had just 5 years ago. We began this financial year by cutting an additional 145 posts, and we envision further reductions. So when you live under that concept of doing more with less, and you realize that the bodies that remain are really going to have to contend with, growing set of issues, fewer hands to put to those issues, and then the work that we do is also growing in complexity as well. So the latest example of that is having to perform our work so that it also complies with, for example, the Bill of Rights that's just come into effect. So it's been a very unique sort of environment, and we've had to try to meet the challenges of developing talent within that environment. Some organizations might respond to the financial challenges we've had by cutting training first. And fortunately, our leaders had the foresight to realize this was going to be a race to the bottom if we took that approach. So instead, what we've had is an investment in training. And that really began in 2007 when we pursued a new strategy with the establishment of the Civil Service College. Now, we've done this in partnership with the University College of the Cayman Islands. And what this does is offer university-level courses to civil servants which are free of cost. These courses are really focused at competencies that we've identified as being needed as we've undergone our reforms within the civil service. So they certainly focus on things like financial management, communication skills, general management issues, but then they also focus on things like being able to better utilize technologies, focusing on matters of ethics and the history of government, things that persons might not otherwise have obtained in other degrees that they had. We've moved on from the Civil Service College and added to that, and in 2010 we launched online learning. Now what this has allowed us to do is, in addition to having people in traditional classroom settings, as civil servant, wherever they may be, in the convenience of their home or anywhere in the world that they may be, as long as they have access to the internet, they're now able to access our courses online. An additional benefit of this, we've made it available to persons who work shifts or might have home commitments and couldn't sit in traditional classrooms. but we've also been able to significantly reduce our costs and expand the amount of courses that are available. These courses are also recognized internationally, so we've made sure that we've kept up the quality of the courses that we've been able to offer. But by doing that alone, we've seen in the past 2 years that we've had 1,300 civil servants who've gone online and are now accessing learning on a regular basis. We've had.
Thank you. I'm going to just wrap things up there and thank you. And the way I wanted to connect that was that's a great overview in terms of best practice and the sort of high level of meeting all learning needs from classroom to e-learning. And I think where Career Ready comes in is bridging the gap for that might seem quite daunting if I'm coming out of school and thinking, well, where do I want to go? We've got these master's level programs and e-learning courses. So the Career Ready side of things is going to help the civil servants to assess, okay, what do I want to be within the civil service, and then I can select the right courses to meet those needs. So thank you for giving us a great insight to the good practices that we're seeing for the civil service. And Robin, if I can just ask you to finish up the segment for us on some of the work and successes you're seeing in SciFac.
Okay. What we're attempting to do at SciFac is not just to develop our young people having the skills and abilities to enter the workforce, but also to develop them as fully rounded human beings. And I have a very passionate belief in developing young people as skilled learners and citizens able to make a positive contribution to the islands. And I think we're going to end in a cul-de-sac if we just say it's about making those students work ready. It's much more than that. I'm just going to outline the program at SciFac. We take students currently at the end of year 11 who have left high school, and we work to identify their skills, talents and interests and place them on an appropriate vocational program. So the pattern is that students are with us for 3 days a week, and then they spend 2 days in an internship, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. The 3 days a week with us, they study a program which comprises of a vocational course, a BTEC internationally recognized qualification at level 1, 2 or 3, and we work with a full ability range from those who come to us with no qualifications, from those who come to us with a handful, 5, 6, 7, 8 level 2 passes. They do their BTEC. They have an opportunity to resit their maths and English CXEs. And then we also, every student is expected to do 2 additional qualifications. And these 2 qualifications are new this year, and they are the first cohort to take these qualifications in the Caribbean. The first is called the Extended Project, which is an opportunity for them to devise, develop, produce, present and evaluate a project with a community-based focus. And we're seeing some really interesting things this year happen. The other qualification is as a result of our partnership with Deloitte, and it's the BTEC Deloitte Certificate in Employability Studies. That's very important for us because, again, it helps students to develop the attitudes and the awareness about what it is that's needed to go into the world of work. And we're pleased to partner with Deloitte in London and Cayman and at Excel to offer this. As I said, we want to develop our young people as rounded citizens. My model for this is Germany, where German trainee electricians also have to study classic German literature. So not only do they learn how the kind of intricacies of electronics, but they also read Goethe and Schiller. And for me, that's an absolutely fantastic model that I aspire to. We continue to develop the pathways for our young people. We have a whole stream of new courses this year. We're looking at new courses, new choices to give those young people the absolute choice of what they want to do that fits into the skills gaps in the islands. We're working, for example, with Lime to develop a bespoke telecommunications pathway in our IT program, absolutely tailored to what they've told us are the skills that are needed now and moving into the future. And I think that kind of model of working with agencies and business and government is important to move forward. Our results are very good. I mean, last year we're looking at an average across the vocational programs of an 85% success rate. So the huge majority of students who come to us are successful and are able to move forward. And we have a large number of students who've been able to progress to higher education and to employment. So now to talk about the work experience. We work with over 150 employers to place over 280 students. We held a careers fair in September, which gave a lot of our employers the opportunity to meet our students. Students went with their resumes and they pitched and they were interviewed. And a lot of our employers were very impressed at the high caliber of our students and how they were able to advocate for themselves. And we have a booth over there. If you want to find out more information, you'll see some testimonials from current employers. And of course, we're always looking for more employers to come on board. Said that work experience, that internship, helps those young people not only to learn about the organization they're working for, but to develop the skills and attributes and behaviors that we would expect them to develop as they move into the world of work. And as I said, we get excellent feedback from those employers where we have students. And actually, at the back of this room, we do have a SciFEC student working at the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes.
It's there at the back. In the future, we have lots of plans to develop this even further. We want to develop more level 3, A-level equivalent qualifications. We've got the business level 3 BTEC this year, and we see that as a pathfinder for even more to open up the opportunities for young people. As has been said before, we very much want to develop adult and community-led courses because we know there's a gap there. We know there's a gap for young people who slipped out of the school system who are now aged between 18 and 25. We know there's a gap there with parents who want to develop their numeracy and literacy skills so they can support their young people they have in education. And we know that there's also an opportunity to help enhance and develop the workforces that already exist. And that is essentially our mission.
Robin and Gloria, thank you. I could listen to you for another hour. This is amazing stuff. So we're going to change it up slightly now because we've run over into the Q&A. So what I wanted to sort of just summarize is we've really looked at the work-ready elements and a skilled workforce as it relates to the school leavers, as it relates to are people looking for the right type of work, and also within the work environment, progression and career development throughout the work. So we've looked at the 3 levels there. What I'm going to ask is, if you have any questions, I'm going to send the panelists out to you. So please ask the panelists when they come to you in this next working segment any questions you have. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time before lunch. What I'm going to get you to do is get back into your groups that you were in earlier, and having listened to all of that, same format. What do you think we need to focus on next? What are the key priorities? Why? And some solutions in terms of taking this forward. I mean, we've probably moved forward the most under this objective, and Mary and myself are very proud of the work that's gone on in this group. So what next? From what you've heard, what are the next critical steps that need to be taken? So if I can ask you to get back into your groups, and panelists will be available for questions and we'll come to you. Thank you.
We were talking about diversification of job types, and part of our cultural history of wanting everybody to be an accountant or a lawyer or a banker, and ways that we could look at creating an increase in value in more of our vocational or trade positions, and we talked about some solutions for that. And one of the ideas that we had was a pride workshop type for other kinds of vocational industries, and so we recognize how well the Pride Workshop impacts young people in terms of wanting them improving their ability or their desire to get into the tourism industry, to the hospitality. They all of a sudden go, oh, instead of looking down on that kind of industry, it kind of really creates some pride, and they realize that they could see themselves working in the hospitality industry if there was more opportunities like that for other types of vocational training, so your plumbing, your electrical, and things like that. And then we also sort of identified a gap really being sort of those 20 to 25-year-olds. We talked about SciFEC being that wonderful sort of second chance for those kids and giving them those BTEC qualifications. And we talked about the Career Ready 101 and what a great program that is, and the Passport program. But that there seems to be there's these older people who struggle, they don't have the skills, they maybe have been unemployed, chronically unemployed for maybe, since they left high school. And as everybody else's resumes are getting sort of beefier, theirs are looking poorer and poorer. And so what's happening in terms of some strategies for reaching those individuals?
Thank you.
Just one thing, Samantha, am I on? Just to say, breaking news, hopefully you'll hear more about this, but you talked about the hospitality area. There's a Hospitality Advisory Council that was set up, and very shortly we hope you're going to hear some fantastic news about a program that is going to roll out that creates training, exposure, opportunities, apprenticeships for those in the hospitality industry. So something really exciting coming down the line soon.
Thanks. And the group at the back wanted to share.
Hi, good morning. Sarah McDougall from SciFec Careers Service. The things that we discussed we were talking about the Career Ready 101 and how enthusiastic we are to get on board with that. In fact, so much so that Heather and my colleague and I myself spent the whole entire summer last year getting ready for Career Ready 101. Unfortunately, we just don't have the resource to be able to deliver it. We don't have the laptops. It is an online access program. And so our problem was that we just don't have the ability to deliver it at the moment. So we were talking about how we could do that, and one of the people on our panel was saying that some of the companies, accounting companies locally, often shed all their laptops every 2 years. So should you want to shed your laptops, shed them our way, please. The other thing we were discussing was raising the image of SciFec, the emphasis in our advertising program that we would really like to get on board with, promoting a very positive image for SciFec, positive branding through the media and so on, because there is so many fantastic stories that are coming out of there, and there are still lots and lots of people that don't know about SciFec. Obviously there are 150 employers that do know about it, and obviously the ministry and so on all know about it, and the employers that have spoken to us have had incredibly positive things to say. So we would like to share those and ask you to please share those experiences you've had with our SciFec students. If they've been positive, we would really appreciate the more people knowing about that, the better. Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So that wraps up the second panel. Thank you for your participation. Enjoy lunch.
Well, before they go, we just need those papers
Yes.
handed in again, so please.